And a very interesting thing is happening with Silent Hill F. Something that I did not expect, but I am truly, truly fascinated by. As expected, Silent Hill has been met with all sorts of reviews. All the fans are tearing at each other's throats, describing what they feel, what their theories are, reporting them as facts, reporting them as theories, whatever. It's going all over the place. And my comment section is no stranger to it. Believe you and me, you've seen my comment section, you know how this goes. But something more important is happening, and something I want to talk about here is the transformative nature of a fan base. And I don't mean them personally transforming, I mean the fan base transforming the art itself. Roll with me on this one just for a second, and then you can tell me if I'm crazy after. But artist makes painting. Fine. Someone buys painting. Fine. Word of mouth spreads. More people like painting. They request a painting of their own. All people that have the painting interpret the painting differently. They process it, they see it, they connect with it, they don't connect with it, they love it, they hate it. They're all doing different things with it. And for the most part, it builds popularity in that way. The artist as well as the painting. And people talk about it, people discuss, people ponder over it, and they stare at this painting long enough, and they discuss with their friends and their peers and museum goers and things like that. And eventually, they make a new painting and move on. Or they hang on to said painting for centuries, whatever the case may be. I think Silent Hill F, in real time, mind you, is transforming into something that is of a fan base's creation over what the actual developers have made. And I say this because watching all the comments going back and forth, and I spent the last week telling people, I do not care if you don't like someone else's opinion, I want to hear all opinions. And there was a reason for that. The reason was I wanted to see every single person's interpretation of what they played. Some played for 5 minutes, some only watched YouTube videos, some just vaguely heard a thing and repeated it. Some people played the game ad nauseum, 5 or 6 times, got every ending twice, and became the champion. And there are some speedrunners out there. But everyone has played it differently, and when they discuss it differently as well, no matter what, and they argue with each other over what it truly looks like to them, so passionately that they actually sound like they're reporting the facts to you. This is the facts. The game was wonderful. It was a masterpiece. Shut your mouth. You don't know anything. This is the facts. The game is not Silent Hill at all. Does not deserve to have the title. Shut up. You don't know anything. Yet everyone's fighting about the true meaning of this game. Now, this is no different than any other Silent Hill. They've done it in previous entries, whether it's Downpour or Silent Hill 2, and they've done it forever, for at least 25 years. I've watched it. Trust you and me, it's always been the way it is. That's not the part that interests me so much. The part that interests me is we're now actively interpreting and spreading the gospel of what we believe, and it's forming the truth. It's becoming part of the lore, and no one even realizes it. And the best example I can give you is the White Claudia example. For those that haven't played the game, you definitely do not want to hear the rest of this, but just bear with me. For the most part, everyone is presenting 1,000 facts, and they're pretty good facts, pretty convincing ones, that White Claudia is referenced a few times in this game. So much so that this is almost the origins of the drug from Silent Hill 1 because of this, that, and the other. They have listed it, they have shown documentation in game, they have absolutely just did their homework. I saw a number of big YouTubers that went down the list and theorized as much as possible, but 2 things happened during this cycle of information going around. Number 1, anybody using the White Claudia example as a grounded theory as to why Silent Hill F is connected to the other Silent Hills have absolutely displayed this as fact. There is no convincing them otherwise. They do not explain this as maybe, they do not explain this as a theory they share with someone else or anything to that effect. This is true. It references a flower, so on and so forth. They are convinced. Now, this video is not to prove this theory wrong at all, and quite the contrary, it's something different. Just like I said, roll with me. The other thing I remember is the very first Silent Hill transmission, when a slew of different explanations came up explaining all the Silent Hills, and when they got to Silent Hill F, they simply stated Silent Hill F has no connection to any other Silent Hills. It's its own story, and just left it at that. It was something that actually shook a lot of people and got people mad. It got them real mad. They were upset. A lot of people were swearing off the game before it happened, what have you, what not. Here's the funnier part of the scenario. Now that flowers have been mentioned, or even some semblance of a commonality between part 1 and F, people have taken it and now it has taken on its own life. So much so that I truly believe in the end the lore will make its way into the natural progression of the storyline itself. Whether or not the developers intended on it being alone, the fans have actually turned the art and transformed the art into something of their liking, of their wanting. And if wanted enough by enough people, then the actual plot line will state so. It will say, this is now part of the Silent Hill lore. There you are. This is information you need to know. And when you read it 5-10 years from now, you'll go, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Small examples of this that really weren't as far-reaching or as powerful are things like Silent Hill being on a fixed timeline. Everyone, for the longest time, believed Silent Hill was on a fixed timeline, when Konami has done everything but confirm that. Or even something as arbitrary as Pyramid Head, who was not in fact named Pyramid Head, but Red Pyramid Thing. And because fans had built his name up so much and created that name, and had spread it so long and for years and years, that eventually that became the truth. That is Pyramid Head. I know him as Pyramid Head. Everyone knows him as Pyramid Head. Yes, there are a few people every now and again that say, actually, and then they hit you with the Red Pyramid Thing, but for the most part, Pyramid Head's name changed because fans changed his name. Now, I bring this up because I'm wondering just how far-reaching the lore will manipulate itself into whatever the fan base has wanted it to turn into. And I don't say that like we're actively going and changing what a artist created. What I'm saying is it's almost become folktale style, where each town you go to will have the same folktale, just told differently, and the story will have a few different details, things like that. And it sounds like Silent Hill is doing the same, and for the longest it was just Silent Hill 2 was the main focus of discussion, because that one was everyone's favorite, and I get that. But to hear, especially over the last week, to hear everyone's opinions and just how different they are, it shows me that it doesn't matter what the actual truth is, and my goal is not to find the truth at this point. I just love that we're all talking about this, but I'm deeply fascinated that the folktale that is Silent Hill can alter itself over time, and I just wonder what details and what truths will remain when all is said and done. Yes, Konami gave you a set list of instructions on how to play or how to perceive the plotline, and you also have Masahiro Ito telling you that this is why he drew things this way and this is why he created things this way. But in the end, after you take that information and process it, you're going to repeat it, and you're going to repeat it to your friends, your family, people online, social media. You're going to argue about it. You're not going to argue about it. You're going to say all these things, but it's going to come out differently than as explained, because if it stuck to the rules, if you absolutely just took and perceived the information as it was presented and just said, okay, that was a great story, call it a night, you would have simply said there is no White Claudia, there is no connection to any other Silent Hills, this is just a side story, Silent Hill F, some people love it, some people hate it, and you would have closed the door on it and called it a night. But there's something about Silent Hill, and I'm sure other fan bases, if I dove into them, which I'm quite terrified of doing so based on the time I've spent in Silent Hill land for so many years, but if you dig into a fan base and see just how widely spread the tentacles are, wrapping around every bit of information and just moving the chess pieces around, you'll find that Silent Hill operates just like a folktale does. And 20 years from now, when you're explaining the plot of Silent Hill F to somebody, those that have stuck around and those that have honestly just stuck with the series for eons now at this point will literally speak differently and have a different story to tell than what you just played last week. I'm incredibly fascinated by this. There are simple answers to everything, and there are convoluted answers, and there are cryptic answers and things like that, and we've taken all of them and we still have ran with it and said, okay, this is what's going on. And that's not even a bad thing. It's one thing to take an action movie like Die Hard and say, here's what really happened. He learned kung fu from a priest in the mountains, on Mount Fuji, and then he went back and fought Hans Gruber, at the end. You're not doing that. What you're doing is, with this game anyway, with this franchise, is every crack in the game you have filled with something. And now imagine every other fan of the series is doing the very same. And now you're comparing what you filled the cracks with compared to what they filled the cracks with. And if the information lines up, then you both have created a clustered idea that will transfer to the next fan, and you will compare your group's idea to that idea. It's just a wonder what will survive and what the idea will be by the end of it. Yeah, we could be simple and we could say the story of Silent Hill F is very straightforward with nuance and character development and a whole bunch of trauma and all that good stuff. We could. But the Silent Hill fanbase doesn't want to. And I, for one, love that. I don't know. Like I said, I might be crazy on this one, and if I am, tell me I'm crazy in the comments. Shout out to everybody on Patreon, and let's just keep an open mind and talk in the comments, because you'd be surprised what you find in there once you get past all the you don't know what you're talking about, and this is the greatest game since sliced bread, and this is the worst game since moldy bread, or something. Anyway, I'm out of here.